Hang on. Oh dear, I wasn't ready for that. Sorry, can you hear me? I'm like, yeah. I wasn't even going live. I was trying to work out how I can. What can I do? How can I get two screens? So me looking at a screen and talking to you at the same time. And that didn't work. So it gave me this screen. This screen. This is not the screen that I want to look at. As opposed to golden keynotes. If you're listening, I know you guys Susie Fenn Haven laptop. I'll have one. And hopefully you can still see me. Because I want to do. It's taking forever. So I told you I'm not very computer savvy. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's try and do it like this and see if. I'll still have to go back to you to find out if you're actually seeing what I'm saying. No, that doesn't make sense. What you're writing. What you're writing. So I have to look at what you're writing to see if you understand what I'm saying. Turn the light on. Bingo. Love that. So, hi, Bill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and read gold, and then hopefully you'll think about some of the things that gold means to you. If and Street is of the opinion that you can't have any facts, and I'm of the opinion that the words that Forrest gave us are the facts that we need, if that makes sense. And in the poem, those few words are factual, and they have many cousins that are synonyms of that word that are also factual in their own right, but are factual words to line up with the factual words in the poem. Now that won't be the facts that Street wants, I know that, but they are facts. Those words do exist, and they are a possible what if. So if you read the poem differently, and this is what, some of these words is what got me, the conversation I had with whoever they were, these people, that, I don't know who you are. So the first one that springs to mind, if I word out for the word gold and the synonyms of said word, and you can browse at your own leisure. So, Jack. There are a lot of words here, but Jack is the one that sticks out at the top of the list. So, at the end of the poem, the last word, and it's always nice to have the last word, you could be given a title to Jack. That's if, I give you title to the Jack. Those words preceding that are what you think they are. So I give you title to the Jack. That's weird, isn't it? But as I've said before, there are other Jack synonyms too. I used to talk a lot about ice lollies. So further down, you get cash, coin, green. I think we were of the opinion that maybe Forrest was green because he was an environmentalist. And you have lots of words that have been in the chase that Forrest has used, like cabbage, funds, treasure, bread, silver, capital, property, fortune, brass. You have the word riches. So gold means riches. And in the poem it says, and hint of riches, new and old. So new gold and old gold, possibly. What if? So I'm going to see how this works now. If I can jump between the two and see if anybody's saying anything that I need to address without ignoring anybody. And so this is the weird gold. But what I'm looking at are, I'm trying to understand what the poem says. Now, the only way I can do that is understand what the words are. Now, if that means looking up 50,000 words and then trying to eliminate words that don't make any sense as opposed to words that do make sense, and then the words that crop up more often than not. So, what are the possibilities? So, what if this meant this, and this meant this, and this meant this? So, if you're going to get titled to gold and you make the assumption that gold is gold, why would you need title to gold? What is the meaning behind that? So, do you need the deed to the gold? But the statement was from Forrest that sail on sapphires, etc., etc., etc. So, why would you need title to the gold? And why would you need it after the event of the chest being taken and gone in peace? If that makes sense. Yes, Jack was your search partner, and potentially is probably the solver. So you will have to beg Jack, to give you something because he would have been the first person that found it, or the animal that found it. So we're all animals. So potentially you owe Jack because Jack would have been the solver. Jack would have been the person that found it, the animal that found it. So therefore, you have no claim. Yeah. Ah, bingo. Now there's a good word. A bit like drawing. Um, I'm not sure but a pecan. I'm not sure what that is. Jack was the dog that found it. Not the deputy. I shot the sheriff. Right now, I am, while talking to you, trying to move my cursor. And it is taking the shortest possible way. So we have, obviously, treasure, Jack, coin, riches, silver, and there are the contradictions that you get in the chase. Talked about Montezuma's goal. It says Mazuma. Never heard of that before. It also says the estate. Well, it doesn't say the estate. It says estate. But you get the D from the poem. So if you're and if these words mean what you think they do, if you're brave and in the wood, I give you title to the estate. And I don't say that's what it is. I'm saying here you are. If you watch this is fact. Estate does synonym to gold. And in one's imagination, if one was prepared to use it, that could be an absolutely factual statement. So, riches, estate, coin, jack, gravy, coins. There's the Oscar. There was some talk about the gravy in the book. Obviously, his father was a principal. I'm sorry you can't see these words, but trust me, they're there. Zozo's surname is in here. His rocks. So the kitty's in here that Dave is going to think about and then get charged for if he was trusted is right with regard to chipping your head. So this is where my imagination was taking me. What is Forrest saying in the poem? If I was to imagine a second poem, another poem, a different poem, a poem that Forrest had no subterfuge, plain sight, something like that. And then you have worth. So your effort will be worth the gold. So gold is worth. And stuff. Don't mess with my gold. And you have copper. So that could be copper down. And then there's more than one bill. because there are bills as opposed to one bill. So there may be more than one Bill Gorman, and you have to pay both, or all three, or you have the cold cash and the chicken feed. Now, I don't know if IRA is different. So, like inland revenue, for here it's to do with Ireland, and I can't see why the IRA would be in this that means gold. So, I'm assuming it's to do with money, money of some sort, but I don't know what that means. I could, press on it and it take me ages to get back. So, but Forrest did talk about the IRA as well. Then we have Buck again, or Book, the CD. So on the big bucks. So CD in large letters and lettuce beans, sterling, and some of the information that was given by Forrest through scrapbooks, etc. And then we have a bill as a singular bill. We have a fund, we have check, we have a wallet, we have a king's ransom, hopefully not a naked king, a mint. I'll try and get through this as quick as I can. And I'm sorry about the first bit, but I wasn't actually going live. I was just trying to see if I could share the screen on YouTube with Zoom. And then John left a message. I'm like, how did that get there? Thanks, John. Otherwise, I'd be going there forever and not knowing that people were waiting and watching. So we have the cash that Jack hid, apparently. CACHE. Stocks and bonds, jewels, gems. All these words that people talk about in chat the other day. And we have a treasure trove. Wow. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? If you were brave in the wood, I'd give you title to the treasure trove. Possibly, maybe, a factual statement that is not in plain sight, that is subterfuge, that is staring in the face, but not actually staring in the face, a bit like the picture that we last saw with Willie, sitting above the table. What was the information there? And what was what? It's not often that Willie's in a picture without his shadow. So, what was going on there? The pocket, the pool, twisting by the pool again with Suzanne. I'm pressing so things move, but it's not moving along. So, we have Lot. So Forrest was looking at his lot in life. And we have nobody know who Grant was, so was his name Carry Gold. We had the bank, which according to Forrest might not be there. Put an IO in there, but my bank not be there. Put an IOU in the chest, but my bank might not be there. So took it out again. And then I'll do it in order. So we have an inheritance. So I'll give you title to the inheritance. I'll give you title to the winnings. I'll give you title to the bonds. I'll give you title to the pockets. I'll give you title to the charity. Well, there was a fund and there was a charity. Some mad money, which, and then this is the stuff that got me in trouble. The rainy day fund. I'll give you title to the estates, more than one. I'll give you title to the land. Who owns the past? The person who owns the title. Well, if the past is found on land and the person who owns the title owns that, so therefore, land, and it was One Horse Land and Cattle Company. So, could bear that in mind. And remember, the idea of this when I was doing it was to look at the words that were possible words that you could imagine in the poem and see if there's a possible way that the poem could have been wrote, maybe a first draft that Douglas saw. Because if it took 15 years, you're not going to write two different poems in 15 years. No way. Never in the 30 years. Never in 30 years. I'm not going to say a million years, but it's not going to happen. So even my cost for making profit is another um, phrase that Forrest made, and cost is here, and I think profit is as well later. Collection, money for a rainy day. So I was talking about Jack saving money for a rainy day, and he had a bad chest, and all this sort of stuff. And what I was basically doing was using one or two words and then writing a whole story about that. And we have an ace in the hole. So Forrest says he has an ace in the hole. So he's just saying he's got some gold. Does he say he has some land, estates? Has he got a treasure trove? Has he got money for a rainy day? Was that what Forrest was saying? So I'm coming back. Honestly, I'm coming back to see if anybody's saying anything. But this is not what I want to do. But beans as you're here and I'm here, and friends. Let's try and wow. Clean up my trucks on in and out from watch it get dog's name and yes. Dog that. Seen that before. There's only one. There is only one Bill Gorman. Hi, Jeep Girl Jody. Well, it is really nice to read you out here, and I'm going to wave as many hands as I've got back. Always nice to see your name anywhere, everywhere. Everybody. So yeah, it's not all that, whichever way you did it. Hey Amy, good to see you. Yeah, this wasn't planned. This was me messing about with YouTube and Zoom and seeing if I could like combine the two because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was working away, and then John left a message saying, "Oi." So Street's in here. Hi Street, didn't see your name, but spiritual journey. Yeah. Dope. Um, South is down and south is north. Yes, south is down. But there was some mountain man logic there. And I think that was there to tell us something about something. So it's good to see the street in my imagination, of course, because I can't see you. Blaze, Canada. Right, so it's good that you're here anyway, Street. I was trying to give you some facts without telling you that there are facts and there are online clues, etc. Just that in your imagination, these words do exist as factual words, and they do synonym to gold. So the ace in the hole. Now it was always raining. It seemed in the thrill of the chase. So is there a lot of gold being put by for a rainy day? Maybe. I'm sorry I can't share the screen. That was my intention, trying to work out how to get the information that I could do on Zoom, and have that as a video, but take that from being a video to being alive and then just going through it live. And that wasn't working, and it's still not working. But apparently I've gone live and there were people in chat, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we have some blue chips. So take is another word that you get. So begin it where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down. So here is the profit, and you can't see it. Not the profit as in Moses' profit type thing, but profit as in even my costs were making a profit. So even my gold was making gold. That's a statement to make. Even my gold was making gold. Well, that sounds better than even my costs were making a profit. Because it's quite easy to believe that you have some gold, and then with that gold you earn more gold or make more gold. Excuse me. So, Mr. Moon, the harvest. The award that Forrest did a scrapbook about. So I'll give you title to the award. B.A. Lance, I keep going on about balance. So I ended up finding about a person called B.A. Lance because of balance. And that person wrote about a wolf in Wyoming. And even that brought me to a video game about a wolf in Wyoming. So watching this wolf, I think it was a wolf, it wasn't a fox, a wolf, actually going around places in Wyoming. It's like, what are the odds of that? Being similar to what was happening in Chase. So you have a legacy. I'll give you title to my legacy. So this was about me wondering, well, if the chest has been found, and my way of looking at it is, first part says this has been done, and according to this synonym, it could have been done by a person named Jack who was saving money for a rainy day, blah blah blah. And then Forrest had to leave his treasure trove. In my imagination, the what if gold means this, and these words are all connected, then what could they possibly mean from the first word to the last word? Because they were synonyms as well. So you have the first word, the last word, and your first word is a Yellowstone, which is arsenic, and the last word is a Yellowstone, which is gold. And it's like, well, from the first to the last word, I'm stuck in Yellowstone, and then all things in between, or possibly all things in between. So we have a piggy bank, and people were asking, why is Forrest talking about a piggy bank? Maybe because it's gold. And I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying maybe. We have the reserve fund, and we have emergency funds. Now those things probably weren't taught by Forrest, but they do spark the imagination. Then we have the word heritage. I wonder where I've heard that word. Then the word title. So I'll give you title to the title. I'll give you title to the title. So is that the title to the poem, the title to the book, the title to the title? Which way is that being read? Based upon the imagination of what was being said before that. So remember I said it was, or could have been, if you are confident and contact Forrest, and it does exist, those words, if you're sitting them in the poem, do say, not if you are brave in the wood, if you are confident and contact Forrest, I give you ownership of the deeds. And it goes, a lot of different ways, but you have to try and work out, if you want to read differently, everything has to make sense. You can't just choose one little bit and go, oh yeah, this looks all right here, and then none of the rest of it makes any sense at all. And that's not to say that's the only way to read it. As you've seen, I've done it in lots of different ways. Right. Where have I heard that word? Oh, Forrest could go right straight to it. So I'll give you title to the right. Not quite sure how that would work. So Forrest went through his bailout procedures. Was he saying I went through my gold procedures? Because gold means bailout. I'm not saying that's what it is. I am saying this is a factual statement that gold means bailout. Why did Forrest say bailout? Why did Forrest say, it was raining? Why did Forrest say all of the things that Forrest said? And in my opinion, it was to give us all information. Now, I had to understand the information that was being given, so I had to walk as Forrest walked. Otherwise, I would understand nothing. So if that meant looking up all those words and trying to work out what was really being said, then that's what I would have to do. Otherwise, if I ignored any of the words, then I would be in trouble, because Forrest said they might not all take you there, but it's risky to ignore any of them. So that means each word by itself must be important in the any part sum, scheme of things that we need to wonder about. So we have the nuggets, couple of nuggets, and then piecemeal the chest, blah blah blah. Oh, what was that all about? And the pieces of 8. And I might be going through a few, but so we have a blue ribbon, which he talked about in the scrapbook. I'm not sure if he mentioned the word star in that one, possibly, but there's definitely a star in the Once Upon a While, or on the Once Upon a While book. We have the first prize, so I'll give you title to the first prize. So if the door prize was what you found first, which was possibly the second prize, then is the gold the first prize, the real winning? What it is that you're supposed to be getting. And that's not to say that it's gold, because I just showed you. I lie, sorry. I've just told you. You have to take my word that these words are true, unless you look up the word gold yourself. And then we have a word like pot. So happiness is the pot. So you could have just been saying happiness is the gold. So if I give you title to the gold, then that is your happiness. I don't say that's what it is. I say, look, here's the information. This is factual information. The word pot, synonyms to the word gold, and Forrest could have been saying happiness is the gold. And I'll give you title to the gold. Or it could have just been saying hemp that he talked about, excuse me, or tea that he talked about, or grass that he talked about, or weed that he talked about, or the gauge, or the draw, or the stuff, or the skunk, or the green tea, or the black tea, or five leaf, or the rope, or the joint. Mary Jane turns up instead of Mary Ann. So this is obviously drugs, but gold is another term for a narcotic of type. And it also means string. So that ball of string takes on a whole different meaning. The ball of string went missing. Wow. The ball of gold went missing. I'm not sure about that. Black oil. Is it oil? I did a video about the saffron being the FF symbol, possibly, maybe. And then we have some weird and wonderful things like lemon. So I picked a few of those lemons, and amber. Now, when I looked for that, I looked for Kendall as well, to wonder if it was like, I'll give you title to Amber and Kendall and Josh and everybody else, but it wasn't, so I'm okay. And yellow. So gold is yellow, as above, so below. We had Yellowstone and then we had Yellowstone as gold, and now we have, just the word yellow. So I'll give you title to the yellow. Maybe not. And I've gone past the word tin. So Forrest talked about tin, and this could be in relation to the table of elements. There are other connections to the table of elements. The word element is in here. Obviously, we have silver, we have the rock, we have copper and bronze. Those are the words in the chase that everybody already knows. Have another word, Amy. I'm sure you know a three-letter word that is in here. We have guilt, and Forrest talked about the guilt and those books with the edging on it and the gold leaf. I'm not sure how he mentioned and said that, but I think of it as gold leaf, but I might have misunderstood what was being said. Let's go back to see if anybody's saying, "Mary, you're talking rubbish." But it won't be the first to start. I get bronze. Right. It took high 9 to 285. So that was the regiment. Not know if you call it regiment. What do they call it? Anyway, the group of men. So 285th Forrest was in, and that took me to the Wii place in New Mexico. WII, not Super Mario. Got clump of a boot for that. That. Yes, outfield. Except really, the time capsule in Colorado got me, and that was a weird one. So I hope you were around for that. You Colorado, do you call yourself Coloradians? Colorado people. Right. So that amazes me that he says fuel and not gas. John. I think the word gas runs through the chase. So I'm surprised you did say fuel. So done that bit. I'm really honestly trying to move my cursor across. We have token, we have a memorial, so I don't think Forrest would have said, "I'll give you title to the memorial," but it's just weird that you have a memorial there. So obviously, the memorial was going to take me to the Brown and the Angel Farm Memorial and those sort of things. So we have a gold star, we have the laurel. I think that Davey was talking about for the crown. Was it David was talking about it? Or something? Someone was talking about crown. Maybe. Said title, the order. So that took me to the Illuminati and what do they call it? Masons. And that took me to Egypt and all sorts of places. And then the star, the badge. I see no stinking badges, so you get titled to the badge. Fruit salad, the Holy Grail. So gold is the Holy Grail. So Forrest found the Holy Grail. Well, Forrest gives you title to the Holy Grail. So obviously I went down the Holy Grail. Look at that. See, and I don't mean I searched it on the internet. I mean I looked for it in the poem. Have feather in the cap. Have the plum, which might be low hanging fruit, high hanging fruit. Maybe, maybe not. We have garland. Maybe Wizard of Oz stuff. Victor Garland as well. Victor's Garland. um, Dun Grant could be gold. But, they didn't know who Grant was. Purple heart. So Forrest was given a purple heart. So gold is purple heart. Cross, the garter, the jackpot, the winnings. Have a brass ring, not an emerald ring, which in itself is entertaining. Obviously, pot again and mead that was talked about. Then, and Bill was talking to me about success as an omniscient guru. We have success with regard to gold. So we have the win, the hole in one that Forrest has talked about. So not only do we have the hole in one in relation to the golf that was talked about, we have the ace in the hole. That could be potentially, possibly, card related. But just that Forrest said he did have one. So, I have a gold. Hit the deed. I'm just trying to use the words that Forrest has used. Obviously, we have the stunt man that has been done, the act that people are enact. Now we had worth before. Now we've got effort. So your gold will be gold the cold. Doesn't make sense, but just because effort and worth mean gold doesn't mean to say that I have to substitute for gold. I could substitute for any of these numbers, like number or trick, which is Forrest is the only one that knew the sliding trick. So, or a home run, or wow, or catch, or work. So your work will be worth, or any of these words. You have to use all of those words and go, right, could it mean this? No. Could it mean this? No. And then, 200 words later, oh, it might mean this. Then another 300 words later, oh, and it could mean that. And then you move it down. And then you have words like, words like marvel. But Taryscant with marvel gaze. So, but Taryscant with gold gaze, or but Scary Gant with any of these. But Taryscant with any of these other words. But also synonym to gold and marvel. So your arrival. Well, we talked about the arrival. Wonder, miracle, baby. So I say maybe baby, and I say it with regard to head. Forrest said it wasn't written down anywhere because it was in his head. So maybe baby. But if baby means gold, then was the gold in his head? How does that work? And we have Magnum Opus, which is a romantic star candle spider who did a video about the Forrest Magnum Opus. So whether he knew that he was talking about the gold or whether it was just, he was talking about a different meaning for the Magnum Opus. I don't know because there are so many people in the chase. The Splash, the Homer, the Gold. So now it doesn't need to be the estate, with estate being gold, because gold synonyms to the gold. So if you're braving in the wood, I'll give you title to the gold. It's just one word. So you could say, I'll give you title to the gold. if that makes sense to you. And then there's another word for the, maybe. Baby. Jewel flower, royalty. So obviously a title would be a royal title, maybe. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying here you are, there's the information, and do with it what you want. Illuminati, so you have to look up the Illuminati. Pink on the belt, so you have to look that up. Treasure, see, it was about treasure. Pearl, that's Peggy Pearl, Margaret. I did all these videos, and it was just a case of trying to, link those words and try and make, sense of it. If I was going to imagine the poem to read differently, then I had to try and make sense of each word belonging to each other word, and it's not difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Very difficult. Cordially. Pick of the letter in Forrest was letter 81. The height, the top drawer that he talked about in the bathroom scrapbook. Obviously, he talked about his pet. Obviously, he was a Marvel champion. Wendy Darling was Peter Pan, as opposed to Garland being the Wizard of Oz. I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm saying here, there's where my mind went in my imagination. Here is the Darling family, and this is what it was about, and then became Hanging Tree. But Hanging Tree could have been in New Mexico, blah, 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 lots of different souls, based on the words that Forrest gave us. So in my imagination, I use the words that Forrest gave us and say, well, what is he saying to me? Everybody. So another word is heart. So my heart is in Wyoming, and another word is spirit. So it's there in spirit. So it's there in gold. All right. So it really is gold in one way, shape, or form. It is gold, but it's not the chest gold. It's gold in any of these forms. So what could it be? If it wasn't gold and it wasn't the chest, what would it be that was not those things? I'll give a title to the Darling. I'll give a title to the Beauty. I'll give a title to the Spirit. Oh, I wonder if that's the plane. Soul. Or David's soul. Sorry, trying to rush this cursor across the screen. First stuff again, bet. Don't pay any bets. Don't pay any gold. Don't pay any bets yet. So cup of tea. So tea with Olga. Was gold with Olga. Was there a deal back then? Was that the deal? Was the deal the gold with Olga? And then the black and that we've just seen as synonyms. And the green tea, black tea. Was that black gold, green gold, or just gold? So a gold, no, a gold cup of tea, no, gold with Olga. Gold with Olga. Gilt again, blonde. Remember the braids of hair, blonde. So there's yellow and blonde, and golden. Remember, and you'll talk about Colorado now. So here is golden. So I don't know if you live in Golden, but maybe nip out for a look and see if there's a treasure trove there in Golden. There's Tawny and Sandy, which was talked about. Obviously, there's some talk about the painting. And we have the same amber and lemon and yellow, fair, sandy, bleached. Talked about that. Ash. Actually, I don't know if he talked about ash. Yeah, I think he did talk about ash, but he talked about ashen as well. Can't remember platinum. May have talked about platinum. Can't remember that. Oh, light brown. Not with a capital B though. And golden again, and then the platted, gilded, gilt. Nearly there. Then I can get involved. Copper, tinny, silver, geologic, metal, brass, iron. Titanium. Now these are the contradictions. So you look at gold, and then you say ice, which is normally associated with diamond, and diamond is here, stone is here, rock is here, brass, silver, and glass. Oh, Toledo comes to mind there. Um, so I'm talking about gold, but they're telling me about ice, they're telling me about rock, they're telling me about stone, they're telling me about diamond, brass, silver, and glass. I'd say that was a few contradictions there, but we know about a rock. We obviously know about the stones because, take the chest. If you've been wise and found the stones, take the chest, leave my bones. No, there's talk about the diamond, specific talk about it, a diamond. The ice that I'm aware of that I relate to, even though there are others, are when the bears used to go feeding and they used to put the stuff in that cold storage with the snow and everything. So this is not really what I was going to do. I was just trying to. So title equals winner, not necessarily finder. Well, goal doesn't mean finder, but it does mean winner. So I'll give title to the winner. Does make sense. Imagine lost in thought is equivalent to stuck in the mud. Or very moony. Lost in thought is really moony. It was foggy hues. Gold of the gods. Well, I know the Garden of the Gods. Not far away from there. So hit Cripple Creek with being Holt. So when I first got into the chase, I believed that it was the same as everybody else. Find where warm waters halt, follow the poem to a place. I'm leaving that up in Australia, in America. So there's a place called Australia in America, and I was looking at Gaul for bold and brave, for Gaulatin, and even the mountain, the wet mountain, blah blah blah. All different things because that's what everybody else did. I thought that was the way. And then I changed my mind because I thought, no, it can't be the way because everybody else is doing it. And everybody would have done those souls. Those souls would have been done. If there was 300,000 people, I'm pretty sure that the more obvious souls have been done to death, and then other souls have been done. So, while Forrest says there are many warm waters halt, if you're looking at 300,000 people choosing a warm waters halt, that's 300,000 warm waters halt. So even if there was only 100,000 warm waters halt, or 50,000 warm waters halt that was chose by them 300,000, however many that actually went, that's saying that most of those warm waters halt have been thought about and visited, and the canyons that they went down, etc., etc., etc. So in my mind, I went, well, Forrest is telling us how to do this, so let's just take a walk with Forrest, walk in those footprints, as it were. Yeah, watching Luli's video of that runoff, it's like, wow, that stuff is really going fast, that is. And I don't think, the ambrosia and the manna bill. So that took me to Montana, Eden, around Helen and the 50-mile trek, and then the top of Montana where there's a forest road or something, Forest Fenn Road or Forest something road, I can't remember now, long time ago. And I can, obviously I had an Ori soul. The Composure, what's it called? That cloudy brown river, red river thingamajig that Ben is on about. I keep forgetting it. Not the Arkansas, the other one. Which means Reddy Brown or something. Not Colorado. Not the Colorado River. What was it called? Near Icebox Canyon. Can't remember. I always forget that. I'm going to have to look it up. What? Is he sitting on top of it? It is. I mean, I look at Bill sometimes and I think, Bill, you look like a millionaire who's dressed down to mix in with people. Because sometimes, when you have your shave and do your stuff, it's like, hang on a minute, he looks too clean, too used to being clean. Bill, you live near 12 million in gold, man. What are you doing? Come on. Ask John where it is. Go get it. But you need more than Jack to carry it. It's going to be pretty heavy stuff. That is. So I hope you could hear me. And obviously you can't see what it is I was talking about, but I can assure you it's all real and all true. I went through all of those words and tried to work out, what it possibly, and that's just one word. The word before that was there. So you look up if you are brave and in the wood. Look up all those words separately and then try and see if they actually make sense. Wrote another way. And does that make sense with the rest of the poem? So if you begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down, according to Forrest, if those are the first two clues, if they're in that area, even if you go to put in below the home of Brown, say you go to put in below the home of Brown for the first two clues, according to Forrest, that's it, finished. Right. Who has a soul that goes past that spot is walking away from the chest, in my opinion. And in my answer, or one of my answers, that's exactly it. I had to make sure that the girl from Lindsay couldn't get closer than the first two clues. I had to make sure that if I told you the home of Brown, you go right straight to it. I had to make sure that you could go right straight to it. I had to make sure that, people have solved the first two clues and walked right by the chest. So what, and others. So what does that actually mean in regards to the poem? What am I supposed to be looking for in regards to the poem with the first two clues? So I need to forget about the other clues and definitely solve the first two clues. And the first clue had to be the most important. So I had to know before getting to the second clue what the answer to the first clue was. What the first clue was, and then could see what the second clue potentially could be, and the third and the fourth and so on. So it was, that's why Forrest says this, and this in the poem. That's why all these things are mentioned in the poem. And that's why he said, literal, get the F out, not F out of there, but get out of there. Get it and get out of there. So had to be a reason why he said that. You get it and get out of there. So had to be a reason why every statement that Forrest made sense in regard to a solve, and it had to be either simple, which I think that is very simple, too simple, annoyingly simple, and could potentially cause arguments. But the fact is, it's a statement of fact. those sentences, one following the other, could be read as factual statements, not made up statements. While they might not be fact in the facts that you want, they could be read as a whole poem, which gives you an answer, which also explains Jack and why Jack said, Forrest, is this the chest in the front of the Chase book? Because that was the chest that was being talked about in the first instance. And also, as I said before, explains, does anybody know about my secret treasure? So that means there must be another one, not the one that you've been told about, which is in the book, which is why Jack asked about it. Here is the treasure that you've talked about in the Thrill of the Chase book, not the treasure that you said was secret. Possibly, potentially, in my imagination. And in my imagination, it's factual because it relates to the information that Forrest gave. Now, if Forrest has given us factual information, and my information relates to that factual information and explains that factual information, then I believe that it's potentially factual. Now, the only way we will know that, as Street says, is if you've got the chest in your hand. But again, Words don't mean what you think they do. Nothing is as it seems. So therefore, you have to try and understand. Hang on a minute. What is the reason for each of these statements? The hope out of depression, the toe to toe, to aid the finder, not the seeker. That information is to aid the finder, and then, the in the poem telling Dal that there is another poem in the chest. Those are the words that are wrote into the poem in my imagination. Now, Forrest said it's not written down; it's in his head. So it's not written down. If you're looking at the way that I'm looking at it, because those words that don't exist in my imagination, they exist, and I show you them, how I imagine them to be. Those words that I see, I've imagined, and it says this. But they weren't wrote down as those words. But those words are in Forrest's head. He does know and can recollect those or that information. But it's not written down as information within the chase parameters. So when the chase was going, those words were never written down. Whether Forrest, had 3 books where he was going to write them down, or a project that he was going to finish, in regard to that, only Forrest knew. But my information comes from walking in the same footprints that Forrest made and trying to be the shadow that is not a fool. So while Forrest said his shadow is not cast by a fool, that could mean that he is not a fool because his shadow is not cast by a fool, or it could mean the person that is walking in his footprints is not a fool, because I don't think that the person that walks in Forrest's footprints is a fool. I don't, but who would? So I try to do those things that Forrest hinted at, in regard to what he says in the poem, hint of riches new and old. He had to be telling us that he was going to give us more information. It had to be. So how is he going to hint? And he told us that there were hints in the book that would help us with clues in the poem. Now people say, well, the poem's in the book. Yeah, but I think it was, specific enough to mean that the hints were to aid you with the clues. And if you understood the hints, it would make the clues easier. I just tried to understand the words. It wasn't about understanding like a clue. It was about understanding every word that Forrest gave us, and every sentence or phrase that he gave us. So David B just woke up. Woohoo! Get some coffee, man. So the gold's all of the gold. You should go visit about 15 minutes. 15. He already 50 miles. He already knows. Why are you searching for a treasure that's worth £1 million if you say you've got the chest and there's 12 million in gold? Well, I think I'm going to need that now. So I have actually got black on white. I don't know why. I changed that, to be fair. I'm getting house. Hi, David B. Good morning. Yes. For him, it's good morning. For me, it's 24, 22. No, 22, 24. Dial of Destiny. Yes, we're waiting for that. It does actually, people laugh at me when I say these things with Destiny, the Indiana Jones 5, etc., etc. Jack, it's not yours. You stole it. Jack stole it? Jack stole it? Well, I never thought of it in that way, that Jack stole it. Jack stole it. Never thought of it in that way. So, I appreciate you being in chat and watching. It wasn't meant for, for me to go live, to be fair. I was trying to work out how to, instead of seeing my ugly face on the screen, to show you information. So if you wanted to go over the poem and ask questions about the poem, I could show the poem. And if you wanted to go over words, then I could show you the words that sort of were highlighted. So my treasure's bold. So while I did the poem in many different ways, I tried to understand the poem in layman's terms. So in the first instance, in the easiest, simplest way that it could have possibly meant. So you could go right straight to it. That was the point. If you knew, you wouldn't get 12 foot within the blaze without knowing whatever the statement was. And you look up to see the blaze. Forrest said, Jack said he looked up to see the blaze. So to look quickly down from the blaze, you had to understand what the blaze was, so you could look down and understand why you were looking down and not up, and why you tarry scant and all those things, and why so why is it that I must go? And there are different. And this is just my opinion. Street, don't say that I'm saying it's fact, although it could be fact. The whole idea of interpretation is someone had to interpret the poem correctly. So everybody has an interpretation. One of those interpretations will be factual, or two or three or whatever, however the poem was meant to be, because the poem was simple and straightforward, and the poem was difficult but not impossible. So there has to be two things, and if you only chose one, then it's hard to believe that that is correct. You either have a simple solve and you find one, or you have both and you find two, or you have three and you have three, and those are quite possible. And discussing with Davey, I'm not 100% sure that um, so one I think is a simple solve, one I think is a diabolical solve, which is simple in a way, and one I think is like having a laugh. This is impossible. Although Forrest said it was only difficult. Jack checked. I think Barbara need Jack for the soul. Jack, hi, Live It Vivid. How you doing? Uh, yeah, I think about it. Like boulder a lot, and you could use Fenn Rock as a boulder, and you could use. Although I haven't seen him for a while. Brent John is boulder. As I've said, you can look up the synonyms, and those synonyms can be a place, and you can go to that place. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a little rock. It could be the place named Boulder. There's more than one place named Boulder. Or it could be a place named Security, or it could be a place named Golden, or it could be a place named whatever. Whatever the synonyms come to. And you have to, in my imagination and Forrest instruction, have the metal and the resolve to do all of it. If you had a 10-minute or 2-week solve, then I don't think that was going to be the correct solve. And like I said in my other videos, if you did do that, if you did it like that, and knew without doing all the other stuff that was correct, then you miss out on all the other stuff. There's many journeys. And I've explained, Greg talks about the secret garden, but there's a map of the secret garden in the poem. And me and David have walked around the secret garden and seen all the things that are there, all those animals in the poem. You don't have to believe it, but it's there. And it's provable. I can prove it to you. I can show you those places, those animals that we walk around through, go through one door, and that's exactly how it's set out. And the map is exactly for other places exactly the same. So somebody talked about something being alive, and that's how I think the poem is. I think it changes like not a chameleon, but, a shapeshifter. I think it changes in regard to what mind is reading it. I've read it in lots of different minds because I think that's how Forrest did it. He tried to think of everything and gave everybody an opportunity. However you thought, your soul was there, and you wouldn't be shaken from it because that's how you perceive it or you interpret it. So you interpret the poem in your train of thought. So the way that your mind is trained, that's how you interpret the poem. Now, at some point, somebody will interpret the poem as Forrest intended it to be interpreted. So that interpretation, while to everybody else, and I'm not just saying me, I'm saying everybody, while it's interpreted in a specific way, at some point it will be a factual statement and provable that it was interpreted correctly. And only when that point comes will anybody believe it, even though it's fact. Even though somebody gives you the facts, you say it's their interpretation. At some point, it will be fact. Like those synonyms, at some point, has to be. And I don't care who you are, where you are in the world, has to be. If Forrest looked up all those words and they don't mean what you think they do, and every word, because it's risky to ignore any of them, at some point, like the Rubik's Cube, keep going, 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 keep going. At some point, they will all be in the right place. And from where you started to where you finish, while you're still exactly in the same place, it all makes sense. That has to be the case. The interpretation will be factually correct, even if nobody believes you can do it. At some point, they will all line up. They're like stars. They will all line up. They have to. While they don't line up at the moment, at some point, while everything spins around, at some point they will line up in exactly the same position. And then history repeats, and so on. So, I try to listen to what Forrest says and then have an opinion. Hang on a minute, let me think about what it is that I have. So, if the teacher's telling me something, a new piece of knowledge, I have a new piece of knowledge that I can put into my mind and say, right, that's what that means. So, teacher tells us something, 2 and 2 is 4. Okay, now I know that 2 and 2 is 4. And then I can go from there. Well, if 2 and 2 is 4, if I put another 2 on that, I will understand that 4 plus 2 is 6. So there's another bit of knowledge that I can have until I get to the point where I can get all the way up to 100, because I worked out what 2 and 2 is, or because I was told what 2 and 2 is. And I took that to be a factual piece of information. It doesn't tell me how I get to 100, but it does tell me that 2 and 2 is 4, and I have the possibility then to add a bit more information to that to get to the 100 that I'm looking for. Now, how I do that will be by using the information that Forrest gives me. So if his next information is that 6 and 6 is 12, then I'll add my 2 and 2, which is 4, my 6 and 6, which is 12, and I will get 16. And I'll be a little bit closer to understanding what Forrest is saying. So, Dial of Destiny, I've done that. Cosmos Forrest, remember that? So yep, he did. He said exactly that. What did you do? Well, I didn't say that. You were asking, what did we do to earn it? Wow. Yeah. If I never paid attention to her. She sued Forrest. Did she? Gee, girl, you give me something I didn't know there. She sued Forrest. Wow. Was her middle name Barbara? Yeah, in the Thrill of the Last one. Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling, Davey. I woke up this morning. I thought, Mary, what have you done? Why have you gone to bed so late? Not this morning. This morning? Yes. Yesterday morning. Can't remember myself. So I thank you, nice people, for actually listening to the rubbish that I talk. Well, I don't think it's rubbish. I think it's deep thinking logic. No, deep thinking using logic. I think whilst we're all biased in the information that we think we have, I've tried to use the information that Forrest gave us, all of us. And then with that information, try to work out what the poem says. So I was looking for answers in the poem. I wasn't looking for the chest. I was looking for answers in the poem. I did the looking for the chest. I went over to America. It was a waste of time. And, I learned that that's not what you're supposed to be doing, Mary. You're not supposed to be doing that. While I think the solve that I had is a really good solve, and, I'm thinking this is something that Forrest didn't talk about, that it didn't say was not acceptable. Makes absolute sense and follows. If you knew the geographic location to each clue, it would be a map to the treasure. So, and that's what that does. That solve did that. But it didn't explain all of the other stuff found in the poem. It didn't explain all of the statements that Forrest made. It was not simple, and I was not thinking, why didn't I think of that? No way. No way. I know why I thought of it, because nobody else was doing it. That's why I thought of it. But it doesn't mean to say that nobody thought of it. It just meant it was difficult to do. And that was a really, 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 really good solve. But I came across other really good solves, and I came across other people's solve, and I thought, why is everybody all standing in the same place? Why are we all here? What is important about this spot? And then I did the other solves. No, the other methods, in order to try and eliminate my bias or their bias about their solve. So, looking at somebody else's solve, I would put the information that Forrest gave us and go, right, he said not associated with a man-made structure, and then I'd hear Dave saying, this cross is where the chest is, and to that cross, and Forrest throwing his body on the chest and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, well, hang on, I can't see that being right, and I had to do that with my own solves, not just doing it with Dave or Street or Troy or Five Leaf or we don't talk about people like Treasure Poem, Will Aware, quiet people that have possibly have every right and every reason to think that they've got correct solves. Steve GTA, Dutchman from the East. These people, while they're not visible and in chat, don't mean to say that they didn't solve it and they're just waiting for whatever it is that they're waiting for. So I try to look at every solve with the same objective: solve the poem. Why is this solve in here? Why are these people in here? What was the reason for the poem? There had to be a reason. Had to be a reason somebody would spend 15 years of their life, if that's what it took, crafted a poem that was simple enough to just read and go beginning where warm water's halt. Felt like an architect and built it, put one foot on top of the other. Why, to hide a chest? No. No, there was something more. There had to be. There was something more than just hiding the chest. So finding the chest was probably the catalyst to start, the real hunt. The important stuff. Can you solve this? You've done the easy bit, maybe. Now can you, put it all together? Forrest told us about making a cake, and the recipe and following that. It's like, well, hang on a minute then. It's not just about making the cake, is it? You're going to have to put it in the oven at some point. You're going to have to cook it. Actually making the cake. So yeah, I made a cake. Look, here it is. I made it. There's a cake. But you have to cook it. And that in itself brings its own problem. You have to cook it correctly. Otherwise you fail. Hey Lucky, how you doing? Whoa, what was that for? Stop. Code in the poem, the blaze begin at warm water's halt. Well, yeah, I could agree with that. My bad double letter. Alphabet units. Well, I can agree with the blaze at warm water's halt. Absolutely can agree with that. In a simple solve. I can agree with that. FF was shifty. Shift letters. Well, I can agree with that as well. Look at the So I like those three statements, Live it. I like the thrill of the case, and the other two. Yeah, there's way so much that has not been said. That I'm not bothered that people believe me or not. Forrest makes a statement in the poem that he has to be brave and in the wood. So it's not a case that I'm not um, brave enough to do this. It's a case that Forrest said what he said, and I can't listen to Forrest and do some of the things that he said, and ignore other things that he said. If I believe in what Forrest said and did, then I have to be in all of it. And I make videos that have information, but then when I think about what Forrest said, I think, well, maybe that information is not, either not necessary or not required for people to know. Doesn't mean to say that I don't have or we don't have. And David keeps saying, back it up, back it up. I have lots of information, but most of that information is in my head now. The everything that Forrest wants known, I'm confident, absolutely confident, that Forrest has found a way to make that information known. And everything that Forrest doesn't want known won't be known. That's it. It's as simple as that. If Forrest wants it known, you will all know it. Everybody will know it. And if Forrest doesn't want it known, then we'll know it because he didn't even tell his mum. So he's not going to tell us. And that could be different things. There had to be a reason why Forrest was feeling diabolical. So, potentially you had to understand that. There had to be a reason why there was no subterfuge playing. There had to be a reason for that. Fantastic, keep it simple. Yeah, you see that, that's all right for one of the souls. But Forrest said it's difficult but not impossible. So, what was he telling us and what was he talking about at which point? So, excuse me, I tried to follow everything that Forrest said. Now, I can't believe that Forrest would tell me that it's simple, there's no subterfuge in plain sight, and it's difficult but not impossible. And I wish I could have lived to do the things I was attributed to, and different bits of information that don't, for me, could be wrong, is just what I think in my imagination. They are different things. Two different lots of canopy of stars at the poem. Well, that must be there for a reason. I've told you before, I had a solve that says email a coin. I have a solve that says, where the treasure lies in the poem. I have a solve that says try the heel. I have a solve that talks about the Queen and the Blackfoot Indians. I have a solve that takes you to New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. I have seen, solves that people talk about and I say, well, there's your solve there. It's written just there. The information, your name, the solve is in the poem. I have all of these solves. Or solutions, or whatever it is you want to call them. But I was trying to find an answer. I wasn't trying to find a chest. I was trying to work out why somebody spent 15 years crafting and building a poem. It's not just for a chest. It has to be something else, not an asterisk in a book. I hope nobody ever finds out who the real Forrest Fenn is. The secret of that place came back to me, I think, a couple of years later. I made a promise that I would go down, So why is it that I must go? Seems like a dare or a promise that Forrest made. If this bit's done, then I will do this. I will do it. I made a promise and I will do it. That to me says, so why is it that I must go? It's saying I'm going to go down to the waterfall. I'm going to, keep that promise that I made or that dare that was given to me. Now, I'm not trying to, people, talk about trying to outsmart Forrest or trying to outwit Forrest or take on the master. No. If Forrest never told any of us anything, we would be nowhere. We would be nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. There would be nothing. Because it's impossible or difficult, but not impossible, or simple, depending, how you look at it. But if Forrest never said those things, Forrest never said, solve the first two clues and walk right past the chest. If Forrest never said the girl from India can't get closer than the first two clues. Let's talk about the first two clues. The first two clues. I told you home ground, you go right straight to it. First two clues. If that's what you use as your clues. So It's like, well, if you talk about the first two clues, what are you saying about the first two clues? Why the need for the other nine? What is so important about the first two clues? Well, the first clue. So if you get that first clue, and then you understand the second clue, it's academic. You know, you're 50% there, or halfway there, Forrest said. It's like, come on. That information is there to aid the finder, not the seeker, the person who found. And it's like, I don't get it why people, you know, you can't say to someone, there's 9 clues in the poem, and if you solve the first 2, you're halfway there. That is no sense at all, unless you are halfway there. And then it's academic after that. And then, you know, the information that Forrest gave was to aid the finder, not the seeker, which is said in the poem, which is talking about, you know, Dal, listen, there is another poem in the chest. You know, and Forrest is talking to somebody, and he's talking to all of us in the scrapbooks, in the interviews. And Forrest was able to tell us the answers without us knowing. Even so far as to say, you know, ending up with a girl like Peggy, I was not short on tenacity. It's like, come on, here's a statement that says this word is incorrect. While it might imply something, it's the wrong word. What does that tell you? You know, tail was the wrong word. Right was the wrong word. Easy was the wrong word. You know, you need a substitute. You know, those sort of statements are telling you, look, you know, Tasuku was retarded. Like, he ate the mushrooms, something like that. I can't remember. It's like, here's information. Now, there was lots of contradictions, so you had to understand those contradictions. You can't just say there were contradictions. Not only contradictions, there was like, you know, 200 years later or 500 years later. What? What? How is it 500 years later? Have you lived to be 500 years? You know, we just laugh off these statements that Forrest makes. But I didn't want to laugh it off. I thought, wait a minute, why has he said that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense, but it's not. What do you say about errors and mistakes? So I'm like, no, this is something that he's trying to point out. And what I'm trying to say is, if Forrest didn't tell us anything, this would go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I'm not saying that it's finished. I'm saying that Forrest said it's finished. And you have to believe that. Forrest said it's over. Nothing to see here. Move along. You know, it's finder is Forrest was doing it to aid the finder. That was his statement, and that's what it says in the poem. Including us doing what they do. That information is in the poem. It's in the poem. I'm not shocked that they went to the Flat Island along the Madison, you know, and went to the Totem Cafe. I'm not I'm not shocked by it because that information is in the poem. So it's Five Leaf. Hi, Five Leaf. It is me. Yes, I will leave the messenger. Uh-oh, what happened to me? I'm in a dark room again. I can't see nothing. Golden Keynuts. Help! I need a free laptop. I don't know. Chat's gone. My image is gone. It says waiting for fast lane Rubicon. That is Rubicon. No, Rubik came up a bit. Rubicon sounds like, oh, I've won again. Sounds like a Pokemon thing. Ah, hi Wig. Sorry, I'm missing all these people. Thought they're going back to England. Going back to England. Oh, look me up. We'll go together. I want to go to Scotland. Wow. There's something going wrong with my camera. I don't know what it is. Yes, Forrest was a magician, and it said in that book, you know, that he was the wizard. So, you know, there again is more information that people should listen to. What if every solver restarts the chase? Just, yeah, go for it. Self-support system. I think Forrest said, if you get stuck, go back to the beginning. I think, you know, most people won't admit they're stuck. They say that they solved it, and potentially they did. You know, they found a chest. And in my imagination, everybody gets something for finding the chest, but I don't think that was the end game. I don't think that was what this was about. But I like your way of thinking. Tell you so. 5 years since we've known it. Well, that's a bit stronger. I didn't expect that from you, but 10k an hour. Yeah, but if you only work 1 hour, you probably wouldn't even work 1 hour, would you? If you got 10k and then you effed off, that would be it. You wouldn't get any more. You'd have to keep effing off. You have random moments of pausing. No, it's not me pausing. That's my computer, which is laptop on its way out. That I hesitate and look at it and go, "Is it still going to work?" Yeah, I've got a different laptop, but then I've got the pink screen of death on it, and it's like I can't spend any more money on these things. Oh, 1 thirds, 3x3 click. I think we were doing 369 the other day with David, and I can't remember what I was saying. Really key shit. Nathan Nelson. Genie. I think David would love that. I think he would love to be able to do that. In a good way. Ride around and just be left alone and enjoy life. Get back some of the the life that's been missed, I suppose. I hope I'm okay to say that, Davey. I'm not talking about turn. Yeah, talking about tilting, it's amazing how the chest was always sort of, roughly the same degrees. However you saw it, it was always, in a similar position. Was that a hint? Hey, Fendi, you alright, buddy? Yeah, I want Forrest to be able. I don't think Forrest was learning anything. I think Forrest learned, um, all that he needed to learn. I think he was teaching something fun. That's definite. And how people have sort of like twisted it into something that's not fun is a bit weird. Because a treasure hunt, discussing a treasure hunt should be, an amazing thing. You shouldn't be. I don't know. The way it just doesn't seem right the way that we're talking about. Like, I'm quite happy now. And if people are saying that I'm an idiot and I'm full of shit and stuff like that, then it might put a dampeners on it. But everybody has an opinion, and at some point, like I said, the interpretation has to be correct. Somebody has to be correct. While we may think it's an interpretation and their opinion, and it doesn't mean nothing. At some point, and based on what Forrest said, the treasure hunt, the treasure's been found. It's over. Based on what Forrest said, means that somebody interpreted it correctly. So those people that saying everyone is wrong must be wrong, because Forrest wouldn't have said what he said. So at some point somebody is correct. And, like I said, I wish, both parties, Forrest or whoever's involved in this and whoever the solver is, I wish them all the best. And I mean that. I offered this, Fenn is here now, and I tell you, I offered this poem to him. I said, like, man, this is way out of my ability to do it justice. This, I couldn't use the computer the way that I've learned to use it. All I had was a load of information, and I didn't know how to express it. And I wasn't going to express it. I was expecting this to have a defining moment. But people talk some rubbish. I'm like, what? Going back to 2013, it's hard to believe that. It's such a weird story. And these people, while I hear from Josh, exist. I've never seen them in chat or heard anybody talk about them. as such, or know, the relationship between searching for treasure other than what Josh has told us. It just seems such a wild, fantastical event that, while it may be true, and I can't say it's not, you know, um, it just there's a different way of solving that issue that came at a point in time, or whether it's just part of the chaos that we're in. The Indian asterisk, higher asterisks, how you doing? If that's what you want to be called. Gold diggers don't have to pay. Bill, sometimes you say really, really great stuff. 1975. I was 12. If my maths is correct. I was 12 then, so no, my basic programming was, A, B, C, D, E. That was it. That's the basis I got. Basically, like 84. People say I took it in 64, which is like Nintendo. Which also was in, a solution. 64 and the Crow and those sort of things. And I forgot about Super Mario Solve that the young man had in New Mexico. Getting all my attention. You didn't slip out the window down the fire escape, did you? Yeah, I can't remember actually looking out of a window when I was at school. Enough to look at, to be fair. I can't remember doing that. I couldn't even tell if there was. No, can't remember. No, I must have been, I don't know, very naive. No, I just don't think there's anything interesting out the window, to be fair, so probably not the same. There wasn't that smell of freedom for me. It was, I don't know. I think school was good. You know, the early years, getting to meet your friends and everything, lived a fair way from our school, to be fair, and there weren't many people there to be friends with. So going to school, there was, a whole group of people to interact with. It was like a really good thing, and you get to play football a lot, real football, kick a ball. You get to play that a lot with a group of friends. It's good. So in a way, I was happy. Well, we had Nintendo. Yeah, the world's come on a long way since then, Bill. I don't know how we progressed so quickly. When you consider, it wasn't that long ago. We were watching black and white telly, and now we have all these crazy things: mobile phones, virtual reality, holograms, crazy stuff. I hope you weren't at a hatchery there, John. Saying hatchery. People think my soul's about hatchery, but it's just something about the book. It's very funny. Really funny. So, I thank the 20 people. Oh, there's the likes. I'll do that. I didn't know the other day I was on here and I was like, no, it doesn't work. I can't do it. No. But 20 people, so hi to all those 20 people, even though there aren't 20 people or writing to me. I had pong tables for 4 players. Yeah, we didn't get much. I think our sort of presents were like my mum would knit cowboy suits and stuff like that. We get one of the cowboy suits as a present or something. Yeah, and it's difficult for the fish to catch a good fisherman. That is a problem. So whilst the fisherman can know the fish, if we were the fish and the fisherman was going to catch us, do we try to avoid the fisherman or do we allow the fisherman to catch us? So you have to trust the fisherman. You have to know that he's going to put you back. Probably a little bit wiser than you were before. Oh, thanks. I wasn't hinting at you liking it. I was just like, oh, where is that? It's here, but it doesn't allow me to do that. Look at that. I said the 20 people that are in here, and then 3 people ran away. Don't make the fly to catch that fish. Yes, the bee was a cool fly. Oh, they were one of the first games, weren't they, Bill? Hang on a minute. So you're at Atari and Troy's at Adobe. I'm getting a link here. Did you do that game with the wolf in Wyoming, Bill? Oh, maybe not then. Not much welding needed for a video game. Yeah, it always amazed me how I'm not, you know, knocking anybody for going fishing, but it always amazed me how popular it is. It's like only really popular. Um, I think that's maybe because I don't hear people talk about it much. But then when you start a conversation about fishing, it seems like everybody does it. But you have to instigate that conversation before you realise that out of about 10 people, 6 of them are fishermen. It's like, what? Never knew you went fishing. Yeah. And then they tell me all about the lakes and all about different kinds of fishing and whatever. And I'm like, no, that's enough. Um, and I go a couple of times with the grandson and burn my head out on. And, try and catch something. Not much luck. So yeah, lucky you can tell I've just read your statement. Yeah, I think you're not a good fisherman, are you? Or fisher person. It's difficult to know what to say now. So the disciples use nest, you said, and then I'm a bobber fisher. I think that's not fair to skills fishermen. I think Davy B's a fisherman as well. He's at the moment definitely probably always an outdoorsman, I suppose. But he knows how to do stuff. I think if I ever went over there, I wouldn't get lost. He knows all those things, those little tricks. Which side of the tree the moss grows and all that stuff. Where to pitch a tent, how not to get eaten, how not to get eaten, and those sort of things. Which is good. But using the whole jar still. Yeah, I think when I went fishing, they threw some sweet corn in. I don't know what they're trying to catch. But they had some sweet corn and threw that in with some stuff. Just big lumps of it. Don't know what they're trying to catch. Yeah, fish is not something I eat a lot of. Stuff I worked on is in. Ooh. Oh, so would you know about the turtles and the tie cutting and stuff like that? Would you, Bill? Do you know about short ties? So within the chase, as I wrote to Forrest, so it's like who's who, and then I get the feeling that it's a lot of people who are skilled in particular jobs, which potentially are all connected. Come out to Shark Bay, I bet you can walk on. Oh, is that the one with the shiny teeth? Oh, that was a crocodile. That's close enough. See, while I would like to be there when you did these things, I wouldn't like to be there when you did these things. So I'd like to be there to watch to watch it happen, but I wouldn't like to be, next to you while the alligator took the bait and stuff like that. So, was this in a foreign country, or was this in America, the Florida type stuff? Did it have a big group? Yeah, the two missing things: the ball of string and the car. And in both instances, nobody knew what happened. Like crazy, isn't it? No one knew what happened. A bit like now. No one knows. I don't know if you can see that my computer's freezing and doing stuff, but I can assure you it's not me. Well, I suppose it is me in a way, but not. I'm not suddenly jumping from one side of the screen to another. 25 pounds? That's a heavy fish. 12 bags of sugar, nearly. 2 pounds, no. 10 pounds, 10 bags. It's a heavy fish. So it is 9 minutes past 11. This side of the pond. And for Davy, it would be 7 hours in front of that, so 6-ish. And for you, lovely people, off 11, 7 hours off 11. It's 4 p.m.-ish. It was tied to the car, the thing was in for a long time, stick the ropes at times to come. I thought he said he could cross that street whenever he wanted. That damn street and the damn curb. Trot lines, I don't know what they are. It almost sounds like a horse trail. Trot lines. It was tied to the car, tie was tied to his neck. He would not wear the. I thought he said he can cross the street. I thought I read it wrong, but he did say, I'm sure he said he can. I can cross that dumb street whenever I want. Yeah, I thought it was 6 o'clock, Davey. Pitch Black. Well, that's a good film. Ah, I see, said the blind man. That's cheating. Yes, thanks, Jeep Girl, for joining us. Sorry it was a bit of a boring video. I was just trying to set up doing a joint Zoom type YouTube video and then found out that I was live. I was like, what? That's not what I was doing. So thank you for being here. Sorry for boring you. It wasn't meant to be a show as such. Paul says yes, he's going to do it Friday, but I might have to start without him because he's and the other days were, out of bounds. To be fair, he's a busy man. So Friday. So if you have any queries about what it is I'm saying or stuff that you'd like to know, I know INFJ wanting to do something in it. But what I might do is just do dates. I might just show you the 2023, December or November, or those dates that could potentially be in the poem. I'm not going to show you the information around those dates. Thanks, Jeep Gill. I do appreciate you coming in. Yeah. I won't do that. Yeah, I've gone past 20 minutes. Does the poem say anything about the US dollar? Yeah, it does actually, yes. I did look up dollar, to be fair, because that's what started the dollar. The fact that it was dollar, and then the bits and the quarters and those sort of things. Oh, there you go. John is telling you that it says it's collapsing. So I think who was talking about it the other day? Paul was talking about it the other day. The importance of the dollar around the world and its effect on the world, but the importance of the US dollar having that effect. And without that effect, things wouldn't look good. So yeah, David, don't blame me. I'm going to bed now. It's my time because working morning. At least I'm still this side of the same day. So yeah, I get that feeling too. If you understand what I'm saying there, John, the two could be global. Um, yeah, we stuffed ourselves over coming out of the European or coming out of Europe and not actually. Just in my opinion, I know people in England will go, no, but yeah, I think people made some bad decisions in regard to Brexit, and that includes our government. And I think, yeah, those sort of people, John, have a, and I don't like saying too much because those sort of names that are in the poem, and Bill, we've blown that pipeline up. See that in itself, that statement of this president saying, "Yeah, shut that pipeline." It's like what? What? There's no sense in that at all. Absolutely none. And those decisions have been made throughout the world that just don't. You just think, what? Why are you doing that? Why would you do that? And yeah, I think sometimes we're stupid, Davey, but it does have a lot in that poem. And if it is all coincidence, if I absolutely don't believe it is, that you can have that many different ways of looking at the poem and getting that much information in a methodical way. But I do think if there is, let's not forget the bells and the jars and the promise of new discoveries. So I think there is a promise of new discoveries, whether it be Chase 2, I do believe that there is, something more, which is what Forrest said. And like I say, I can't take on board what Forrest said just to please my own bias. I have to take on board everything that he said, and it's like, well, he said this, and he said this, and he said this, and he said this. So if all of those things happen, then there has to be something more. It can't be just um, believe these people that are saying that it's a fraud. It, that cannot be the case because there is this information that proves otherwise. I know what people say. Well, it's not fact. It's just your interpretation. But like I say, at some point, somebody's interpretation will be fact. Has to be. Has to be. You can't deny that. And I say that Forrest said the treasure was found. So therefore, that concludes that somebody was factual enough to tell Forrest the facts based on their interpretation of the information they found. So someone somewhere street has the facts to back up what it was that Forrest was no, not baiting. So the first bit was the baiting. The second bit, well, that was the thrill. So the thrill remains. It's just whether you're prepared to, want it. If you don't want it, then you aren't going to get it. You're not going to get the thrill. So you have to believe in the thrill. You have to believe in it. You have to have faith in Maverick. He put it there for us to attain. Whether it was in the hope that it would be attained or whether it was in the hope that it wouldn't be attained is irrelevant. It was put there. The dare was made and it was put there. And every action that was done, as I said before, could be like setting up a secret party. You can't say nothing. And it may look bad, but you can't say nothing. And if it looks bad, it looks bad, but you can't say nothing. So you just have to go to the point that, the person finds out, the party's there and everybody's happy. Including Forrest. That's the whole point of this, or should be the whole point of this. Isn't that guy proud who did the Rosetta Stone? It's an achievement. This poem is an achievement. You go alone through life, everything is extended to your soul. Wow. Yeah, if it's done. He's not lost in thought. He's yeah, well, he did say beware of mud. Yeah, and that in itself is, I like that because Forrest did say if you get stuck, go back to the beginning. You know what I mean? And each time there was an end, there was a beginning. How great would that be? It never ends. In order for, a bit like the forest fire, in order for there to be a new generation of life, it comes to an end, and it looks horrible, blackened, dead, deserted, and then it looks wondrous. A bit like the chase. Some people darken it, and it looks like there's no hope. But Forrest gave us hope. You stick with that. You have the faith, you have the hope, and before you know it, things are growing. It's all good. So, Superman. Well, that was a good film, The Body Snatchers. I enjoyed that. 100. It was really good. Season 3. Yeah, I've been doing some binging. We see it. Yes. We see dead people. That was a word that I was going to do, to be fair, and I have done already it, and it's like, why don't people see it? Same as like this one, or even the gold. There are words in there that I probably haven't said, and it's like, yeah, but if you read that way, it'd be, ooh, that's scary. Those sort of things. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm just waffling again. New beginning sounds like, it doesn't sound like a good thing. It is a good thing. Go back to the beginning. So, and go back to the beginning, and go back to the beginning, and go back to the beginning. But Forrest put the bells and the jars out there for a reason. If nothing else, and I believe there is something else. If nothing else, it's worth knowing what's important, and what's not important. So those bells and jars could be of importance. And the whole of the people are given and they are chip to eat and become like the body snatchers. Ooh. Or something similar to that, which was, no, it was the other way around. It was the zombie one, Zombie Nation. The other way around. They would eat a chip and then they become more human. And that went on forever, that series. So, just reading chat, sorry. Well, that's a clever saying, John. Yeah, yeah, you could use it as that, but yeah, if you don't look. And that sort of explains his, the grass knows, the flowers know, the river knows. You just have to go and see it. You have to go and see it. And that's similar to is it Confucius? If a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Or, the butterfly effect, etc., etc. Unless you're prepared to believe in it, then, or at least try to imagine it, it's always going to be out of reach. So my thoughts, in conclusion and summary, and etc., etc., etc. The facts that we have are the words that Forrest gave us, and in those facts there are synonyms, which are also facts. So if you wish to know the facts, you have to use the words that you were given, and believe and have enough faith that the maverick who gave you those words gave you the answers that he already knew. So for Major Forrest Fenn, who had a poem that was seen by somebody else, and then completed the poem as a different version of the poem that was seen, and was talked about in 1995 in regard to the car park being at the Arizona, whatever, the Arizona car park, has to lead you to believe that, something had started. The momentum was there. And for me, in conclusion, it doesn't matter what the chaos is. What matters is the reality of it. You can throw all the chaos you want out there, and you can have all the subterfuge that you want, and you can have the contradictions, and you can have the timelines that don't match up. You can have, the not timelines, what's the other word? The historical events that don't match up. So while it's not about the time, it's about what actually happened. While all those things don't match up. It's not about them matching up. It's about making it happen. And in order to make it happen, you have to give the information that you give, and that's possibly called embellishment. You know, stuff that you were warned about. You don't have to say the whole truth, the truth, but not the whole truth. So you say the truth, but not the whole truth. Or 50%, 15%, those sort of things tell you that things are not as they seem, and words don't mean what you think they do. And is that the chest that is in the book, The Thrill of the Chase? People say, "Oh, why does he say that? Why does he say that?" Well, it's obvious why he says it, because he's asking, is it the book that's in the thrill of the chase? Is it the chest that's in the thrill of the chase? Has to be a reason. And if you have a good, correct soul, you potentially could understand that reason. And you could understand, why Jack, who is Jonathan, why the need for that, why the need for the name Bill. Anyway, I'm going to go because I keep talking. Of course, it makes a sound. We don't create sound. Good night, Davey. It's morning for you, afternoon for them. Catfish. Cheers, Davey. Thanks for coming. Cheers, Lucky, John, and Bill, and Five Leaf, and Wig Reeves, and trying to remember all the people I've spoken to. Jeep Girl, if she's still here, she said she had to go. There's 14 at the moment, so thank you to all of you that turned up. And again, this wasn't meant to be live with Zoom. Share the screen and put information on the screen so you could see it. And that didn't work because while I was in the dark, looking on my computer, somebody wrote, hello, we're here watching, but you're not. Ah, pirate. Good day to you. Sorry, Jim Lad. Jim Lad. I'm sorry, but I'm just about to go because it's 11:30 at night, and I have to be up for work tomorrow morning. So it's just too much practice going back and forth, constant buzzing off. Almost constant craving song I was thinking of then. So I'm glad you're here, Pirate, but sorry that you missed the the babbling brook of information. I agree with you, Lucky. Of course, it makes a sound, or does it? So if you're not there to hear it, does it make a sound? Lucky says, of course it does. So having faith that it does make a sound, because we know that it does make a sound, but not being able to prove it. Thank you, Wig, for trying to say for being here, but it's more than that. If you're prepared to listen, and even if I'm incorrect, if you're prepared to listen, it means a lot about yourself. Those people who only think that they are correct, and it can't be anything else. If you're prepared to see everybody else as a solver, a finder and a solver, if you're prepared to see that, then it gives you insight into your own thought process. And then if you can look at somebody else and say whether you think they're correct or not, then you should have the ability to look at yourself and say whether you think you are correct or not. And that helps, go on the right path, I suppose. So people who turn up to listen, obviously are able to take stock of their own information. If you're prepared to listen to someone else, then you're obviously understanding what it is that you understand for your own, if you have souls. I haven't seen Lucky Digger give out a soul. I haven't seen John give out a soul as such. I haven't seen, who say Davey V, Wig, Jeep Girl Jody, those sort of people give out souls, but they have give out information, and they must fully believe in that information, but are prepared to listen to somebody else talk, and they go to other people, which is good. I go to other people when I can. Sometimes my, not patience, it's not patience, my tolerance of those people that are just trying to say that somebody else is wrong. And I know I've said it about Dave. I'm not David, Dave. I'm saying, look, here's why I choose to steer away from some statement like that. That's why, while I can see that being a good solution, I have to say, well, Forrest said this. So therefore, out of all the people I believe are right, not wrong, all the people that I believe are right, I put other people um, as being right. So those people that are being right, there are people that I put at the top and go, well, actually, yeah, it says that, and that is believable because of this, this, and this, and this. And there are people at the bottom that I think, well, it's obviously there because it's in the poem, but these are the things that Forrest said, and that contradicts all of those things, and that makes Forrest a liar, and I don't believe Forrest is a liar, so therefore, one of those rules. So if it's a good rule, you go at the top, and if it's a bad rule, you go down the bottom. So there are a few people with bad rules and some people with good rules, and those people are at the top. Come on, tree that appears to have fallen, but you didn't see. How do you know that it did? Maybe it was correct. Maybe it was. Maybe it was, and those are the statements that I like. You have to think, well, what if? Because if you're not prepared to think, what if? You're going to miss out on a few things. Best for Solver to do, like Steve Miller said, take the money around and leave the rest. Dear. Like I say, I don't believe anybody's wrong, and I'm not trying to influence anybody or say this is how it should be. I'm just saying this is what I would do if I had done this. If I had done this, and these people in the poem have a chest solved, they found a chest, which is part of the aim, the um, lure. So you put a lure out there and they bit, at least take a look at them and give them something. Yep, you bit it. there's what you have. Go back. If that's the case. So if you found the answer that was in the poem about a chest, then I think you deserve a little something because you found something, or you bit something. So therefore, whatever the lure was, that's what you should have. Understand what I'm saying? Um, Whatever the fly was, the fish should be able to have the fly. Um, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because, and that's if they're real searchers. If they're real searchers and they found something, I think they should get something. Because they'll be able to prove to back it up that they found something. Push the M button, M. You can go, Davey. I'm going. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to push the end button. Thanks for turning up. Friday, definitely. Davey, we'll talk. Tuesday's my last day at work, and then I've got 3 days off, and we'll talk. There's some things that I want to go over, apart from just doing the live on Friday. So this is not when people say give out the soul. Tell us what you know. That's not through fear. Not telling. Not telling through fear. That's not telling because we're asked. Forrest said he didn't tell, but it says don't tell. That's not that you don't have the facts and that you don't know. It's that you're told not to tell. And it's not that you're not brave. It's just that there's no need to tell. At some point in time, no, I've already told, to be fair. I said I wouldn't give out the soul and I haven't given out the soul. But there's information that I put out that absolutely says, here's your answer. And, as Forrest did, he would tell you or us information. And if you were listening, you'd catch it. So if you do begin it where one water's whole, and you do understand those bits of information I talk about, the two clues, etc., looking up at the blaze and those sort of things, you'll know that I'll give out an answer if you know the answer. Part of the problem, who is who in the zoo and who really needs the answer? And seeing all these names here, it's hard to know who they belong to, but it's easy to hazard a guess as to who they potentially are. Right, I'm going. I can't hear you on my end. Oh, have you stopped hearing me? Is that what she said? I've never heard that before. How would she know that? Haven't muted myself, as I know to. Hi, Robert. Robert can hear me. Stuff. I don't know what he's saying is a great song. Can you hear me now? I haven't done anything different, but just can you hear me now? Anyway, to be fair, I'm going, so Matthew, I can't hear what you say. Definitely talking. Have you pressed the volume button at your end and turn me off? I don't blame you if you have. I'm not. All right. See, Bill, you you say things. You talk about yourself, and I think what? And then you talk about other stuff, and I think, well, you know something. Thanks, Lucky. Everybody hears me. Sorry, pirate. Must be you. Anyway, like I say, I'm going. I can't get to my end button. That's the issue. So the zoom that I had on is confirming the end button. Can I just squeeze the top bit of it there? Yeah. All right. Then. So big love. Thank you for the time that you spent with me. Important, I think, to think about those words. What does gold actually mean? I gave you a lot of instances that it could mean something totally different than what you think it does. Talking about the gold could be something other than, the treasure that you believe is there, because the gold has already been sold in the auction at Heritage, which is the word, Heritage is a word for gold. So, the lure caught many fish. Yes, the lure caught many fish. You hear me now? Good. And like I say, unfortunately, I'm going. This wasn't meant to be a live. I was just trying to work out how to share a screen on YouTube, and I can't do it. So I tried to match YouTube with Zoom. I can't do that either. And then there was people, writing in chat. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm live. I didn't know. And a lot of talk about catfish. So don't think I haven't looked up that word. What was the other word I looked up as well? Can't remember. But if I imagine that drawing is the lure or the door prize, then I'd have to say I was being told in the poem that my first find is not what it's cracked up to be. And then I must search for something else. And obviously, two canopies of stars and stuff. So, male according to coin, in my opinion, was important with regard to what was being spoke about. And there's 265 coins in the chest, and that equated to 6 point something and 17, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, oh, this is all interesting. Only one blue cat and a bunch of yellow cats. Yeah, one blue cat and a bunch of yellow cats. Oh, nothing about the emerald then. Just the blue. So, gold meaning black, green, and yellow. Whatever tea, cup of tea, with Olga. Was Forrest saying something in that sense? So if I said the simple solve and the difficult but not impossible solve and the diabolical solve, being I wish I could live to do the things I was attributed to, that must mean that if you open that chest, you're going to laugh or cry. Those statements, I believe, are important to understanding what it is you are perceiving to be a fact. Oh, hi, Hush Whisper. You seem like a nice person. That almost sounds like you're Lorraine Mills. It does seem like a nice person. Ah, no. I thought Hush Whisper was someone else. I thought Pam was a whisper. Must be me, must be wrong. Yeah, she got a piece of important information out of Forrest, in my opinion, with regard to hope nobody ever finds out. Okay, I'm definitely going. Davey, you need some kip after work tomorrow. I don't know. If you're up, we can talk. If not, you know, when you wake up, this will roughly be about this sort of time. I'll still be awake if you want to have a chat. So thanks again. Take care. Have a great afternoon. Have a great morning, Davey. I hope the weather's better. I hope it's brighter. It's dark here now. I get to see, I don't know what star it is, to be fair, but it's massive, big and bright. I say star, it could be Venus. But it all sets off over there, so that must be, that's where the sun goes down, so it must be in the west. So in the west, for me, it goes down, and the moon was there yesterday. It was a crescent moon, and it is opposite to the way that it is in the chase. So, the crescent goes this way as opposed to that way, with the dove sitting. So that got me thinking. Horse whisper, say something to the chest. Cool. Interest October 2019. Holding, holding, a holding pattern. Yeah, that sounds about right. Take up a holding pattern, or a flyby. Forrest did a flyby, didn't he? Yeah, I think me and Davey are doing, a fair amount of holding. We understand that there was a plan, and as the A team say, love it when a plan comes together. You know, Forrest would never have gone into this if he didn't have the answers. No way. If he couldn't make it happen, which is something I said to him. If you say you can do it, then I believe that you're going to do it. Patience, aka oh my beer. Well, both of them. Patience, no, nice. Yes, Yoda. Exactly. And Pirate says as well. Yeah. Patience, no, nice. Yes. You have failed me for the last time, Skywalker. Such your feelings, you know them to be true. I am your father. See, it's things like that. W.H. William Henry Lee. When all the strings are tied, it will happen. It was William Henry Lee, wasn't it? The person in Africa, the kid on the stand, the goat. through the thing, whatever. Scrapbook. Sure, it was William Henry Lee. Something like that anyway, William W.R. Lee. Oh, W.R. Lee? W.H. Lee? Can't remember now. My memory's going. It's going. Anyway, Yoda. Help. The force is strong in this one. Ciao for now. Thanks, Pirate. Sorry you couldn't hear me. William Gorman. Yeah, I was looking in the poem for your name, Bill, at the bottom, and where the chest is. It does say that you are not Gorman. It does say that, Bill. You're not Gorman. Whether it's true or not is another matter, but that's a journey to the will be complete. My name is Moses in the poem. Well, you see, and that's where I have, difficulty. Oh, Moses. That's where I have difficulty because the facts that I deem to be facts are information that takes me around the poem and is complete information. If I don't see the name Moses, then I won't connect that to you. And if I did see the name Moses, it would take me in a whole circle, roughly around the same parts of the poem. And while it doesn't talk about Bill being Moses, it would tell me a whole statement about me. Say it was saying Moses was a plaque on the wall. And not saying it does, but saying it was a plaque on the wall. It would give me all the information about that, and then I'd have to turn the page and get different information. If it was going to say Bill's name is Moses in the poem because blah 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 blah. Rose chocolates. Sorry, excuse me. Chocolates wizard. Yeah, like I say, Bill. You say some really good stuff, and then you talk about your soul, and I think, hang on, where's he gone now? Where's the link? See, Creighton. So Creighton could be Wyoming, could be the younger on top, a mountain, blah 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 blah. Could be very important information in the chase, and yet when you talk about your soul, Bill, like Creighton doesn't come into it as far as I know. But careful. Yes, you did, apparently. Yes, you did, apparently. So I will be careful. The only thing is, I am only careful for the other people that are in Yellowstone because I'm not there. So it wouldn't really affect me. But I suppose the buffalo and the elk and the other animals and the people would be a little bit upset if I caused you to do that. So I'm definitely going. I can just about manage to get that, and I'm trying. There we go. All right. So take care, everybody. Thanks. No more floods, Bill. Unless you want to sit on a log and canoe it down the Yellowstone River. What are the rivers there? The Gardner River, the Yellowstone River, Madison, whatever. And Compagre River. That is the name of the river. Colorado. That's the name of the river I was trying to think of. Yeah, there's a red barn and a Wolverine in one of the souls as well. The red barn. What was that? Memory's gone. Anyway, I've got to go. Wizard of the Water. Cheers, Pirate. Thanks. It's always nice to hear that. We had that on the radio today, actually. We were arguing about who it was being sung about. Tina Turner. And who being the best. Me and Tom were doing the discussion. Yes. GB. Great Britain, everyone. No. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for attending this. What's the word? Apart from haphazard, but on the spur of the moment. whatever that word. That means that it wasn't meant to be live. But thanks for making me go live and spending some time with me. I'll get this. Ciao for now. Be careful. Be safe. Enjoy what life gives us. Ended. No, I'm still here. I'm still here. Take care, everyone. I did press the button. Got like a circle going round and round and round. No. Oh, hang on. Something's happening. Yes, a stream. So take care, everyone. All good. Work tomorrow. 3 days off. Happy days. June 14th. Get that. Oh, I thought it was Guru or R. You're talking, but you're breaking up really bad, really bad. Keep working. Yes, I'm just trying to end it now. I'm trying to end the stream because of, nearly 12 o'clock midnight, and I wish to go to sleep because I'm up at 4:45 for work. So I need to say ta-ta and ciao. Oh no, they're so thin nowadays, aren't they, John? There's old TVs you can sit on, but you can't sit on. Like, Bill, stop it. Dial of Destiny, Harrison Ford. Ciao for now. Take care. He says, I'm still here. Press the button.